start by welcoming into the show Mario Suarez, who of course began his career at Atletico Madrid, where he played most of his career as well. And of course, Mario, your former team in the headlines, having spent all this cash on Julian Alvarez. First off, what's your reaction to the move? How much better do you think this actually makes Atleti?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a really good sign because he's a young player that he already won the World Cup. He won in America. He won the Champions League with City. He can play in a lot of positions in front. He's a very versatile player. And with a lot of quality and goals. Last season he scored 19 goals, 13 assists. So I think it's a really, really good signing. Let's see in which position he will play because Simeone, and also which formation will put Simeone. I don't think he's going to continue playing with 5 defenders. So at the moment, the Atletico fans are really happy with this signing, and they are very, very happy with Julian Alvarez. And let's see how he performed this season for Atletico.
It's a big price tag. 75 million just to start, could go up to 95 million. How much do you rate the player?
I think he's a very good player.
Is he worth that much?
No, I don't think he is. Whenever I've watched him play, you're impressed with his work rate and his versatility and what he offers the team. But I wouldn't say he's got one outstanding attribute. You can say, he can go past people with ease, he's a great crosser of the ball, or he's a brilliant finisher. He's good at most things. I wouldn't say he's, at the moment, a top-class player. Despite him winning the World Cup, despite him winning the Champions League, that's why Man City are willing to let him go, because he's not at the very top of English football as a striker, or any world football as a striker.
You've suggested before, Don, that he could have some regrets about leaving Manchester City. How much of a chance do you think this will be a flop for Julian Alvarez at Atleti?
I think this move, Seb, is the one that's got lots of layers. It's not just the move for the player. So if you simplify it and you go, what does the player get out of this? He gets first-team football. He gets told by Simeone he's the main man. He gets told he's going to start every single week. So for a player's point of view, super important. The other layers are, I think, the price tag is heavy for Atletico Madrid. Man City have done unbelievably well, getting 95 million. Their problem is, who do they buy as a replacement? That's going to be tough. But for the player, at 24, I think he goes to Atletico Madrid on the side of it where he's going to be, going to be the top man and going to be important. If you stay for one more year at City at 24 and get lots more trophies behind you, that move would always still be there, or a similar move.
What would you do if you were in his shoes?
I would move, because, contrary to what Don's saying, winning isn't everything as a player. It might be the pinnacle. Yeah, I can say I'm a Champions League winner, I'm a World Cup winner. He played in the World Cup very well, but he didn't play that many games in the Champions League. He wasn't a major starter in the big games, and that's what he's moaned about. I didn't play enough in the big games. So when he's picking up a trophy, does he really feel as though he's been part of it at times? As a player, you want to feel part of it. You want to play nearly every week. You want to make sure you have an impact on this club. And at the moment, Alvarez didn't have the impact that he would have wanted on Manchester City's title chases and European successes. What
about the fit at Atleti? We had Ale Moreno doing a potential 11 yesterday, and he has Julian Alvarez out on the wing with Sorloth in the central position. Are you spending close to 100 million euros on a guy who's going to be your winger?
And I go back to what Don said, but he said he's guaranteed to start every week. They've told him he's going to start every week. I'm not sure he can be guaranteed to start. No player can be guaranteed to start. And if you've just bought Sorloth, who's done very well at Villarreal and scored lots of goals, Alvarez out on the right-hand side, I don't really think it suits him. And again, he becomes a utility player that hasn't got one aspect of his game, playing out wide, where he's going to go past people, get crosses into the box, and look an outstanding winger. There's a lot of players who are better in the wide areas than Alvarez.
When you make a move, Seb, and before you even sign, you have a conversation with the manager, and the conversation is, where are you going to play me? And I would imagine that'll be as a number 9. He might end up playing a couple of games or a few games on the right-hand side, but I don't see it.
So what do you think he's asked Sorloth to do?
Well, he's got it all on.
Yeah.
He's had a decent start, scored a couple of goals today, or yesterday it was, but I think Alvarez gets in the team before Sorloth, if you're asking me to pick a number 9. So I think when you have the conversation with Simeone, before you even sign, what's my role? And Simeone tells you, right, you're going to be our number 9. You're going to be our lead man. Everything's going to be built around you. If all of a sudden, a few games into the season, he finds himself on the right wing, he ain't going to be happy with that.
Mario, who would you have playing through the middle? Sorloth or Alvarez?
I don't know, but let me tell you one thing, because I know Simeone really well. Simeone can tell Julian Alvarez on the phone whatever he wants that later he will put him in the winger or everywhere. In my times, we were used to play 4-4-2 with two strikers, and Simeone, I know that likes that formation very much, because I agree with you. I don't know where he's going to play Julian, where he's going to play Griezmann, because if you don't play with Julian on the side, you have to put Griezmann, that is not happy, also there. Samulino, where he's going to play, Gallagher. I don't know. Now it's true that you are investing, but let me remember you that Joao Felix was also 120 million euros and didn't work. Hazard also in Madrid. So now is the time to demand more on Simeone, his staff, and the players, because the club is investing money. Now you have to demand more on the players, on the coach. You cannot finish fourth place, 19 points behind Real Madrid. You have to fight for the league. To be honest, I think Real Madrid is the favorite at all in all the competitions. But you have to improve the performance that you did last year. And if you want to do that, Julian Alvarez must be happy on the field.
Mario, you mentioned Joao Felix, and I feel like when he made the big money move to Atleti, a lot of people were thinking, okay, this is going to be a new era for Atleti. Diego Simeone is going to change. That obviously didn't happen. Here they're spending more big money on another attacking player. Mario, do you think Diego Simeone can get it right this time? Do you think we will see a different, more attacking version of Atletico Madrid?
I hope so. We all hope so. I think, as I told you before, he is not going to play with 5 defenders this season because he has the players to play more attacking football, to create more chances. But the truth is that they are investing. But is Sorloth improving a lot? Morata or Gallagher is improving a lot? I don't know, De Paul or Llorente. You know better than me this player. But Julian Alvarez is true that he's a really good player, that I think he's going to be the star with Griezmann. Lenormand, I think, is improving the players that Atletico already have. But let's see what happens, because I also miss one good left back, because Reinildo is a center defender. He can play there, but he's not a left back. Also about Lino, that he was one of your best or your key players last season. Where are you going to put him this season with all the players you have in front? So now Simeone has to prove that he can handle with all the tools he has and to get the best version of all the players.
Robert, what do you make of the Conor Gallagher potential addition? Obviously, it's not official yet, but it seems like he may be headed to Atleti.
Again, he's a very good midfield player. He's not one of the top midfield players in the world, but he's a player that's got good energy. I think he can handle the ball when it's played into him.
Is he a squad player or a starter?
I think he'll probably be a starter.
Really?
I think he will be a starter at the start of the season, because I think he's good enough to do that.
I think the club will put a bit of pressure on Maresca to try and move him on, because he's got 1 year left on his contract. But I don't see any top 4 teams across Europe signing Conor Gallagher. I think he's a very industrious player.
But they had Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, who they paid an absolute fortune for. I saw the 3 of them play together. In most cases, who was the best player out of the 3? It was Conor Gallagher. The other 2 didn't play well at all.
The move for the player going to Atletico Madrid, I think is perfect. I think it's perfect for both. I think Simeone gets that sort of player like Koke, like Saul, can get around the pitch and put his foot in and run around and have energy. So from the player and the manager, I think it's a very smart signing.
There's some suggestion that maybe Gallagher coming in allows for the potential for Griezmann to move on. Mario, I wonder, how much do you think Atleti still need Antoine Griezmann at this point?
Until now, he's the leader of the team. He's the best player. If Antoine plays well, the team is playing well. I mean, he's winning matches. You know, I think that I totally agree with you all. I don't imagine Gallagher signing for a big team or bigger team or top team. I don't imagine Sorloth signing or playing as a starter in Barcelona or in Real Madrid or in Man City, also with Lenormand. So Atletico is signing the players that they are able to sign. So with all the tools that they are giving to Simeone, they must compete as a team. And if you have Griezmann fit and you have Julian Alvarez fit, I think they must be both the leaders and the key players for the team this season.
Great point, you know. Great point in terms of the window that they're shopping in. Because a lot of teams, whether it's the Premier League, whether it's the big Spanish sides, wouldn't probably be signing Alvarez or Conor Gallagher. So they're in a market that's a little bit different to what the big boys are looking for. So it's a very interesting point.
Have they done enough, Robbo, you think, to I guess when we say compete, like for how long? To truly compete with the Real Madrid or Barcelona next season?
Well, I would say that when you see the side that they had last year and the year before that and the year before that, they should have been competing much better. You know, I've been disappointed with the manager. Simeone, you know, he's one of the highest paid managers in world football. They can play expansive football on certain days. They can be good defensively on other days, but they didn't get it right enough of the time over the last 3 seasons. I thought they were lucky to beat Inter. They were outplayed by Inter, but they got back into the game because Inter made some strange substitutions in the Champions League, so they went that little bit further than they probably should have done. But I think Simeone's got a lot to prove this season, and he's spent money now. Atletico Madrid should be challenging for second and even top spot.
Mario, what are your expectations this season for Atletico Madrid?
I hope so. As I told you before, I think Real Madrid is the favorite at all in all the competitions. And Atletico, as you said, you are investing more than 200 million this market. You have the highest paid coach in all the world. So now it's time. I don't buy you the message that to finish in fourth position is the goal for the club, or to don't win the cup here in Spain. We have to demand more on them, and Simeone has to prove a lot this season. Has to prove that he can play with more offensive players, more attractive and attacking football. So let's see what happens. Let's see.
You agree that Simeone has a lot to prove this season?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does every single season. I mean, my knowledge and when I watched Atletico Madrid under Simeone was years ago they were hard to beat, and that's what they were renowned for. And it made them likeable because it was different to any other team. He was like, you know, it was like us against the world, and he went away from that and he bought better players like the João Felixes of this world and the Griezmanns of this world, and trying to completely change the style. And for me, it sort of didn't really fit. I like the way years ago they used to be hard to beat and they'd win 1-0 and they'd grind games out. Maybe the hierarchy wants something different, but he's always got something to prove. When you manage a team like Atletico Madrid and a club the size of that, you want to be in top spot. But I don't see them getting anywhere near Real Madrid.
You have faith he can change? I think that's kind of what's being asked here, isn't it?
Well, I tell you what, this time, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I came over to do the game. They played Real Madrid and they played João Felix when he first signed. They had Diego Costa up front with Morata, and they beat Real Madrid playing magnificent football 7-3. And everybody said, this is the season where they're going to change the way they're playing. You know, that João Felix has joined as a player who can run with the ball. The combination of Diego Costa and Morata they'd got from Juventus, I think. This is going to be top-class football. Was it? No, it wasn't. They went back into their shell. João Felix never really played in that first season, or didn't play enough in that first season, and they didn't look the same side. He's not going to change. There'll be some days where you think, oh, this is it. And it'll happen again 2 weeks later, they'll go back to that defensive.
João Felix must have been thinking over the years, I've potentially picked the worst club and manager I could have signed for. And I mean no disrespect when I say that. I just mean I'm a João Felix fan. And I always thought in the back of mind, I wonder what someone like Guardiola would have got out of João Felix. Because João Felix, the number 10, the sort of flair player.
Do you think Xavi would have got it out of him? He didn't get it out of him.
No, but I just well, maybe that's on the player, but I just thought in terms of moving to Atletico Madrid, not so much the club, but for the manager and his style. I seen him play left-back in the Champions League game once, and I'm thinking that's just absolutely killing the player. Now, the player's got to do more. I think his numbers are terrible in terms of never got more than 10 goals a season, never got more than 10 assists a season. So it's on the player, yeah, but he must be thinking in the back of his mind, I made a terrible move there.
Mario, what do you think of that? Do you think players maybe look at Atleti, look at the style of management and say, this might not be for me? Do you think it can hurt the club in recruitment?
To be honest, in the last times, I think yes. That's why, we can talk about Dobic, the player who goes from Girona to Roma. It was the first option for Atletico, and he declined Atletico, and he preferred to go to Roma. In other times, that will not happen. And now I think the reality is that some players decide to go to other teams because of the style. Because as you said, Simeone is not going to change. But that's what I was saying, that Simeone has to prove this season that he also improved as a coach. Defending, he's an amazing coach. He likes to defend well, deep, to don't concede chances to the other team. But now he has to prove that he is better attacking. He can handle the offensive players to play in there in different positions. So that's why I was saying that he has to prove something different this year. And also the players, because as I told you before, you can invest a lot of money in a player, but if he gets injured, he don't adapt to the city, to the environment, he will not perform in a good way. So I think Atletico and Simeone has a lot of job to do.
All right, Atleti then finishing fourth in La Liga last season. Barcelona finishing second. They have tried to strengthen their squad through the signing of Dani Olmo, apparently going to pay 55 million euros to get him from RB Leipzig. Mario, how much better does this make Barcelona?
Much better. I miss Dani Olmo to Atletico, for example, no? Because I think he's a really, really good player, very versatile player that he can play in all the positions in front. Number 10, I think, is his best position, but I think he will play a lot of times as a left winger, so I think he's very happy and very motivated for this new chapter.
Had a great European Championships, obviously, for Spain, 3 goals, co-golden boot. You call a lot of Bundesliga games, though, and I've heard some complaints about his consistency. Are those fair?
When he was at Leipzig, there were games where he was non-existent. He made lots of mistakes. He was taken off. There was games where he didn't start. So consistent. He played much better for Spain in the European Championships than I saw him play in the Bundesliga for Leipzig. He's a good player, very good player. And I think Mario's right. He would probably have to come from that left-hand side because that's the problem position. They've tried everybody out there. They've tried Ferran Torres out there. They've tried Pedri out there at times who comes in field. And that's exactly what Dani Olmo will do. He'll start on the left-hand side, come inside to go and join him with the centre forward. And that's where he's at his best. But he's going to have to be consistent and get off to a good start, I think, at Barcelona.
Yeah, Ali said the same as Stu yesterday, on the show yesterday, about Dani Olmo. Inconsistent, sometimes goes missing. Had a great Euros. And I think probably because Barca missed out on Nico Williams for that left-hand side, they probably thought, well, one of the best other players in the Euros was Dani Olmo, who can play off that side. He's a very clever footballer. He'll use his brain. Probably not the quickest, but you don't have to be. If you've got a football brain, he'll want to play in the 10, but I think, as Mario said, there's plenty contenders for the 10 position. So as Stewie said as well, where he'll find himself the most, I would imagine, when he's starting games, will be off the left-hand side and drifting in, being inverted, because he's very smart.
Barcelona then loading up for the upcoming season. One team we've hardly mentioned in Spain so far, of course, Real Madrid. They did do some summer business with Kylian Mbappe. We got the photos from his first training session with Real Madrid. Rob, I know you were glued to your social media earlier today.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Get a look at these. Look at him next to Jude Bellingham there. Some star power in that picture.
Oh, dear me.
It's going to be a team to be dealt with for sure in the upcoming season, which, by the way, not all that far off. Action starts 1 week from tomorrow, August 15th, the La Liga season underway. Athletic Club against Getafe and Real Betis against Girona. A double header there next Thursday to kick things off.